All right, we are live. No, we're not. Oh. All right, well, we are live. Who have we got here? I skipped my lunch to be here. Oh my gosh, okay, that says it all. You skip your lunch to be here. I am here for you and I apologize for the craziness. All right, here we go. Gosh, what was your name? I want to thank you. I can't see you. Yes? FIAA, your wisdom. Mwah. Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about Saturn, all right? Saturn is the planet of hard work and karma, okay? It's the planet of responsibilities. It's the planet of obstacles and it's the planet of limitations. So people are scared of Saturn. Now, should they be? Well, yes and no. It is kind of a situation where if you are being very, very irresponsible, for example, Saturn is the planet will come and whoop you up the butt, okay? Think of Saturn as the headmaster or the headmistress of the zodiac, okay? So the one that won't let you get away with anything. That is why people are scared of Saturn, because Saturn is the planet that says, what do you mean you are doing such and such, or you're not doing such and such? You said you were going to do such and such or so and so, and now you're not. Well, let me show you. It's punishment time. That's basically Saturn. Now, I had a letter from someone recently when I was talking about how difficult Saturn can be, who said, oh, you know, you're not talking about the good side of Saturn. So let's talk about the good side of Saturn as well, because Saturn definitely has a good side as well as a difficult side. The good side of Saturn is that Saturn is about going the distance. Saturn is about longevity. Saturn is about saying you're going to do something and doing it, and as a result building something amazing for yourself. Saturn is the planet that is involved in marriages that last a very long time. For example, Saturn is the planet of contracts actually and agreement. So if you make a commitment and you follow through, Saturn will help you. And when Saturn helps you, you end up more secure and more stable, okay? So Saturn really does have a really positive side. And just so you know, depending on where Saturn is in your chart and how it's aspected, probably will relate to how you feel about Saturn. Saturn is about fear, okay? So if you're a very fearful person, there's a good chance that you have a kind of awkwardly placed Saturn. Saturn is a planet of fear, but Saturn is also the planet of the truth. And, you know, as they say, the truth will set us free. So Saturn is the planet that can help us push through our fears. Saturn's the planet that makes us face our fears, which is already going to be difficult. But then Saturn is the planet that makes us push through, okay? So for the past couple of years, since 2017, Saturn has been in the sign of, who knows? Capricorn, okay? Now, Saturn is actually ruled by, Capricorn is actually ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is the planet associated with Capricorn. The two go well together. They are kind of, they're buddies. And so Saturn in Capricorn, in theory, is actually quite a nice thing, because it means Saturn is at home in the sign of Capricorn. And what you really want is planets to be happy. So, you know, like if you happen to have had a kid in the last couple of years, they will have Saturn in Capricorn on their birth chart. And that's quite good, because it means they'll have, you know, a kind of a positively placed Saturn. That said, Saturn in Capricorn has also been extremely challenging for a lot of people. And here we are all ending up in social isolation, because Saturn is the planet of integrity. Capricorn is the sign of business, okay? So if you didn't have integrity in your business, that is where Saturn once again comes along and whoops you up the bum, okay? I hope that makes sense when I say that. That's kind of like a funny way of saying Saturn will come down on you like a ton of bricks. And in fact, a ton of bricks is a very Saturnian thing. So Saturn in Capricorn, Capricorn being the sign of government and business, okay? So for the past couple of years, we've had this really intense Saturn energy going through the sign of business, which is why we've had all the ups and downs we've had in business. We already had Pluto, the planet of eruptions and destruction in Capricorn, the sign of business, and then Saturn brought up the rear. So in fact, you can pretty much tie the 2008, I think it was, or was it 2012? Anyway, Pluto has basically blown businesses up, and we had the recession, and now Saturn's come along, and talk about like making us face facts now, not to make everything about the coronavirus, but we do know that there's a very good chance that the coronavirus has come from a market in a country that's one of the most modern countries in the world, where hopefully they would know better, but they've been selling food in a way that is not really fit for human consumption, and it's ended up, and I don't want to point the finger at any particular country, and in fact I saw someone doing that quite recently, and I thought it was utterly reprehensible. So this is not playing the blame game. This is saying that we as humans have to wake up to what we are doing, okay? Whatever nationality we are. And that includes, like my fellow Australians who, all went to Bondi Beach on Monday because it was sunny, and they all had the day off because of social isolation. They all went to Bondi Beach, and I could have done that myself if I was in Bondi. I'm not saying that I'm by any stretch of the imagination perfect, but as humans, we need to wake up. Anyway, so where was I? About businesses having integrity. So, that's one thing that's been a really, really big theme. Businesses having integrity over the past 2 years. Now, and if you're Capricorn, by the way, or Capricorn rising, the last 2 years probably have been quite challenging for you. And that's over now because Saturn's changed signs. But instead of just thinking, oh, thank God for that, have a think about what you've learned. Okay, what have you learned in the last couple of weeks if you're Capricorn or Capricorn rising? Because what you've learned will actually lead you to stability and security, especially if you put into practice all the lessons you've learned. So Saturn in Capricorn was all about businesses. Now, what about Saturn in Aquarius? Well, the really funny thing is that here we are. Why am I doing these lives at the moment, which I'm doing every day at 11 a.m. London time, every day, same time. Now, why am I doing these? As I've said a few times, one is because I've been asked to by people. Can you please get on and shine a bit of light into the situation, a bit of moonlight or starlight. The other is because, as I said as well, it helps me get out of bed and get dressed, and it is helping me do that because otherwise I literally would be in my pajamas all the time. But I've got something in my eye actually. I'm also doing it. Because it's just a good thing to do to help people get through this period, because we are all socially isolated. And that is actually absolutely 100% perfect analogy for Saturn in Capricorn, because as I said, Saturn is about limitations, Saturn's about loneliness, and what's Aquarius about? It's about humanity. Okay, so here we all are with Saturn just having moved into Aquarius, and Aquarius being the sign of humanity, and here we all are socially isolating ourselves against this, this pandemic. It could not be a more perfect description than that. Saturn in Aquarius, the whole world in isolation. Now, does that mean it's going to last until Saturn in Aquarius is over? No, of course not. We're not going to be in isolation for 2 years. I'm pretty sure I can promise you that. But however, what it does mean is that we need to learn the lessons, okay? We need to learn the lessons about why we need to socially isolate. I've got something in my eye. My husband's just walked into the room. He's seeing me rubbing my eye. I think it's a bit of mascara. So Saturn in Aquarius is going to be about society, humanity, learning lessons. It's going to be about us becoming more disciplined. It's going to be about us facing up to facts as a society. And again, I said it yesterday or the day before, and I'll say it again, I'm not a vegetarian. My husband, who's right here behind the camera right now, is a beautiful Frenchman who loves, who's a complete carnivore. And, he cooks everything really, from vegetarian and vegan to, roast lamb or whatever. But we are going to have to learn some lessons about eating with integrity, about having integrity full stop, and about how we're treating the animals we're eating before we eat them, if we eat them at all, and so forth. And yes, people are saying, I hope you're all right, your eye, my eye's going weird. Actually, you know what I think as well? I think this I is me saying, you know, I'm as guilty as anyone else of anything I'm talking about. Like, it's really worth saying. I'm not saying all this, oh, we have to have integrity because I've got so much integrity. I have got integrity, actually, but we all have to have integrity. And it's not just, you know, it's not just me pontificating. This is all of us as a society. And Saturn is very much about society. It's also going to be about, funny thing is, Aquarius is the sign of technology, and here we all are as a society, self-isolating, which is a completely Saturnian thing to do, and using technology to communicate, which is a really Aquarian thing to do. So as I said the other day, you can't make this stuff up. It's literally like, what are the chances? So this is one of my favorite books for anyone who's learning astrology. This is one of my favorite books. It's called Keywords for Astrology. I've had it for years, as you can see. It's very well worn, and it gives you all sorts of things, including descriptions for each planet and each sign. So what does it say for Saturn and Aquarius? Well, the threshold, the fear of loneliness, of being deserted. Like, how true is that? Saturn's just changed signs this week. Fear of being deserted, of being inferior to someone else, or developing individual peculiarities and becoming an outsider. Fear of innovations. Now, another thing that really applies right now in the time of COVID-19 is, you know, the great leveling of society. You know, COVID-19 doesn't care who you are. You could be, you know, the head of the Bank of England, or you could be the janitor of a tiny school in, you know, Newfoundland, and the virus can still take hold, you know, and please God, you'll be fine. I don't want to spread fear here, but, you know, like, it's a great leveler. And Saturn in Aquarius, you know, it sounds like society seeing we are all equal. Everybody stop showing off. We're all equal. And, you know, which brings me to, why am I doing this? I don't know. I have no idea. I know that I like doing things like this, and here I am. And you can do it for your people too. So please don't let it just be me up here chatting away. You know, it's very, very, Saturn in Aquarius is about society leveling out, and not being about, you know, who's got the most money or the most followers or whatever. Okay, so interestingly enough, it's actually also a very good time for reforms in society. Now, we have to be very careful they don't go too far, obviously. You know, I think that there's talk of, you know, having police on the streets, policing us all, making sure we're actually in our homes when we're meant to be, and we're not out socialising, you know, like, or in cafes or whatever. The most positive thing for Saturn in Aquarius, the liberation aspect, because, you know, every planetary transit has positives and negatives. Mature and relaxed manner of living our independence and peculiar characteristics. So it's, in other words, it's about being proud of who we are, you know, and not worrying about who we are, and just accepting who we are. A sober attitude towards all experiments and innovations, inventor and developer of truly useful innovations. So it's actually going to be quite interesting to see what gets invented in the next couple of years while Saturn moves through Aquarius. And that's going to last, by the way, until 2022. So what I want to do quickly is do what I said I'd do yesterday, which is run through what Saturn means for you, okay, depending on your rising sign. Now, if you don't know your rising sign, but you would like to, please go to moonmessages.com/free chart, moonmessages.com/free chart, and you can find out your rising sign for free. And this is one of those times when you really need to listen to your rising sign, because your rising sign is, when you hear what's happening with Saturn for your rising sign, that's literally like going to an astrologer and having your own personal chart read, to a point. Obviously, we don't know where all your planets are, but if we know which house it's in for you, using the whole sign house system, you're actually going to get a really kind of something vaguely accurate here. So I'm just going to say, after we do this, I'm going to do a bit of chanting, and I'm going to finish with a card for the day. So thank you to all of you who stayed with me, especially those of you on Instagram, because I had a bit of a shaky start when I couldn't get connected on Facebook, but here we are. So let's go through the signs. If you are Aries or Aries rising, then Saturn is now in your 11th house, which means that you can have stronger relationships, but you're also going to get rid of dud relationships for the next couple of years. If you are Taurus or Taurus rising, Saturn is now in your 10th house. And that means your career. So if you've been working really hard the past couple of years, now is when you are going to get to the top and be the boss. You can expect promotions and responsibility. However, if you've been slacking off, despite what I've been telling you for the past 2 to 3 years in my horoscopes, then you need to be careful, because now is when you might have to pay the piper. If you are Gemini or Gemini rising, then Saturn is actually in your 9th house, and your 9th house means it can mean, for one thing, on a really positive note, if we ever get out of quarantine, it can mean traveling for work. It's also a really good time to get really serious about thinking through your life philosophies, and also a really good time for higher education if that's something that's on your agenda, maybe if you're in the UK or America come September, and if you're in Australia come next January. If you are Cancer or Cancer rising, then Saturn has moved out of your 7th house, which is brilliant because it means you've hopefully learned tons of relationship lessons in the past couple of years, and now you don't have quite the same pressure on your relationships. But it's now in your 8th house of sex and money. So it's time for you to get really serious about your sex life. Is it any good? If it's not any good, what are you going to do about it? And also, it's a really good time to start making some really good financial plans and to see a financial expert. If you are Leo or Leo rising, then whoa, you have now got Saturn in your love zone for the next 2 years. Now, as I said it before, it can be the time when you actually commit to someone, because Saturn is all about commitment and going long term. However, it can also be a time when you need to put your own needs aside, and your partner's going to be very demanding one way or another. It can also be a time where if you're in a difficult relationship, you just go, then get rid of it, because Saturn just won't put up with too much SHIT. If you are Virgo or Virgo, Virgo or Virgo rising, Saturn's now in your 6th house, which is actually heaven for you, because Saturn is all about routines and plodding along and just getting the thing done. And the 6th house is about your daily life. So you actually should be able to make your daily life a little bit more stable and ticking over, which is great. Virgos love a good routine. If you are Libra or Libra rising, Saturn is now in your 5th house. Now, this is an interesting one because it means that you need to schedule in fun, okay? If you're Libra or Libra rising, it can be a time where you think, I don't have time for fun, I've got to work, or for some reason, I mean, right now, it's hard to have fun with your friends because obviously you're socially isolated. But that's not going to last forever, and it is going to be a time where you start to then say, okay, you know, seeing friends online. Actually, it can be a good time for going online to find love. And it can also be a time where you literally have to schedule in time to have fun. Otherwise, you might feel you're not having enough fun. If you're Scorpio or Scorpio rising, then Saturn is now in your 4th house of home and family, which means there could be some demands coming your way to do with the home and family. But it also means you can have a more stable home life if that's your intention. If you're Sag or Sagittarius rising, then you need to be very careful, Sag and Sagittarius rising people, especially Sag rising people, because it's even stronger for you. You need to stay very positive. You're a very positive sign, and Saturn in your mind zone can make you feel a bit down the dumps, so you need to be really disciplined about staying positive. If you're Capricorn or Capricorn rising, well, it's your lucky week basically, because you no longer have the Saturn, the planet of hard lessons and tough times in your sign, so your life is going to get easier. However, it is now in your 2nd house of cash, property and possessions, which means you need to work solidly and stably towards the money that you want to make, and don't let fear derail you about money. If you're Aquarius or Aquarius rising, well, Saturn is now in your sign, so you are going through a super Saturn cycle now, and it's time for you to grow up, be responsible, be mature, plan long term, think about what you want and what you've got to do to achieve it, and then just go for it. Okay, so make the most of this. It can be a difficult time, but it can also be a time that leaves you feeling like you have matured. And if you're Pisces or Pisces rising, it's actually taking place in your 12th house, which is your spiritual zone. So it's a really good time to get really organized about your spiritual life and have proper routines, and you know, every day I'm going to do a proper chanting, or I'm going to do proper meditation, and just to, you know, just to really kind of get yourself organized on the spiritual front. But it can also be a time of having a dark night of the soul, so be prepared for that. Be prepared to move through your fears related to spirituality. And it can be a time of fears, because Saturn is the planet of fears, and the 12th house is the part of your chart that's about fears, so it can be quite intense. So there you go. Now, if you happen to be Gemini rising, if you're Gemini rising and you enjoyed that little tiny snippet you just had, I would like to offer you a whole hour like that. I do it once a month. This month it's Gemini rising. Next month it's Cancer or Moonchild rising people. If you're a Gemini rising and you want to have a whole hour dedicated to you about this month's new moon, because it's taking place in your 11th house, which is the absolute primo time of the year to be making wishes. So I'll take you through how to do that. And then I'm going to give you an overall 12 months ahead predictions, ideas about what's coming up, challenges, opportunities opening up for you. If you're Gemini rising, the link is on Facebook in the description, but for Instagram it's not, so I'll give it to you. It's moonmessages.com/written, like as in written in the stars. moonmessages.com/written, or click the link in the description. I'd love to see you. That's actually coming up really soon. Just will be the day after the new moon. So we're headed for the new moon now. So you know what? I've just done half an hour of chanting. I'm going to do just a 3 chant, okay? Three line chant, and then we'll do a card, and then we'll finish for the day, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to do just Om Namo Narayani, because I do surrender to the divine. So that's what it means. Here we go. Om Namo Narayani. Om Namo Narayani. Om Namo Narayani. Best thing we can do right now is surrender to the divine. All right, so best thing we can ever do is surrender to the divine, frankly, in my humble opinion. And you know, just in case you missed yesterday's broadcast, we were talking about surrendering to the divine in the time of COVID-19. You know, does that just mean I surrender to the divine, okay, come and get me, COVID-19? No, it doesn't. Dismiss that. It means I surrender to the divine, but I am going to use all the spiritual medicine I have at my disposal, which for me is chanting and prayer, and that's what we're doing when we do these daily things. I'm also doing it on Zoom before I come on here. I might see if people want to join me for that. All right, I'm actually using these cards again. These are some of my favourite cards. They're by Doreen Virtue. I'm just going to say here and now, I'm actually going to ask Hey House if I can do some Goddess Guidance cards, because these are Doreen Virtues and she basically disowned them, and I absolutely love them. They're actually apart from my deck, they're my favourite deck. So I'm going to ask Hey House if I can somehow do something with these cards, because I love every single goddess in this deck. All right, who's ready for a card? Who's ready for a card? Thank you for all the lovely comments. I will come back and read these. Who's ready for a card? What is the deck I'm using here? It's this one. It's the write your question if you dare in the comments. Otherwise, just ask for life guidance. It's the Goddess Guidance Oracle cards. So these came out a long time ago with Doreen Virtue, who obviously later on converted to pretty hardcore Christianity and disowned all her oracle cards for whatever reason that she felt was the right thing to do. No judgment, everyone's on their own journey. And they're a beautiful deck, but I don't even know if you can get them anymore because she kind of cancelled them out. yeah, so I'm actually going to ask Hay House, if there's anyone from Hay House listening, I would so love to do my own version of this deck because I love this deck so much. Anyway, that's a bit spontaneous, but what the heck. So I'm going to take, oh gosh, I don't know which card, this one or that one? This one, this one, this one. Are you ready? Here we go. Woohoo! Right, interesting. So we have the Freya card. Freya. And the message is unleash your adventurous side, take risks and be daring. Now, I have to say, don't take any risks with COVID-19, please. I don't think that's what Freya means. Let's have a look at what Freya means here. Right. Okay, so basically what it means, and some people are asking about work actually. Yes, Cindy says, I love that card, be brave. Yes, it means be brave. Okay, so Nara is saying, how do I do my distance healing for others? Okay, so we all think right now we have to be really scared and timid and stay home and socially isolate. But this card is saying, okay, look after yourself and your family, but be brave. So just say if you have an idea for, someone said distance learning, something like that, then this is really the time to get out and get online. Like I'm doing it every day. Like I never do anything every day. I work from home because I like hanging around and, being in my pajamas, as I keep telling everyone. But it's fine. Be bold, be brave, be adventurous. Monique, oh wow, I was thinking of calling a JP as I was supposed to use one to finalize the documents. I think I know what you mean by that. Be bold, be brave, okay? Make bold life changes. Yeah, and I was actually talking to the wonderful Colette Barron Reed the other day. I don't know if you know Colette. She is a wonderful maker of oracle cards in the USA, and she was saying, that this whole lockdown thing has really helped her to reassess a few things. And that's a really important thing for us now. I mean, we actually have a chance to stop, like I went down to the river yesterday. We live near the river here in London. And it was like the world had stopped. I was like, wow, this is so different. We've all got so much to do. Make bold life changes. What are you going to do? So that is the card for the day. Be bold and make bold life changes. Michelle Thurber, work financial guidance. Make bold life changes. All right, so on that note, I'm going to leave it there. I want to thank you all for being with me today, especially on Instagram, because you had 9 minutes of nonsense at the start of this. So thank you for hanging in there, those of you who did. So lots of love. Ciao for now. And to Facebook, lots and lots of love. And I will see you back here, same time tomorrow. Lots of love.